As someone that went through 5 different internship experience, I feel that I was constantly in fear for not having enough job experience, not being able to know enough, not being able to try enough stuff. I feel that I was constantly pressured to try everything and to make sure my resume was as stacked as possible. In some way, I was like resume maxing. I think about this is that like I don't think I actually loved or I actually wanted these internships, right? It's not like I really wanted to be a data analyst. It's not like I really wanted to work in finance. But I was just in so much fear that if I didn't optimize, that if I didn't try my very best, that I would fall behind, that my skills wouldn't be invaluable, or that if anyone looked at my resume and saw a gap, that I would be slacking. And when compared to my peers, my friends who are constantly thriving, I felt that any excuse for what I saw as failure would be viewed like really negatively upon. And because of that, I feel like I was like forced to like resume max and do every single internship as possible and just try every single thing. Now, was that the right decision? I don't know. But the thing about this is that like when you apply to so many internships, at what point do you stop and at what point is it enough? And at what point do you know what you want to do? I think the best thing about internships is that you figure out what you are good at and you also figure out what you hate. And I want to emphasize the second part more. When you figure out what you hate, you're able to so easily define what you want to do in the future because every single time you figure out what you want, what you hate, you become so much more clear on what you do love. An example of this is like when I was a data analyst, or actually I studied computer science in undergrad, and I thought I really wanted to be a software engineer. I wanted to be like a huge coder that would like wake up at 10 every day, play ping pong, and leave at 2 p.m. At the office. That's what I envisioned, and I really got sucked into this like content creation, software engineer dream. Um, I didn't end up following it, but my first ever real internship was as a data analyst. I thought I'd be coding, like debugging things, building some huge data warehouse thing. I don't even know what that means, but I thought I'd be doing some sick like data project. Long story short, I hated it. I hate data. Data is a pain in the ass. Um, I will never be a data analyst, and I never have the patience to be a data analyst. I don't have the interest to be a data analyst. I don't have the passion to be a data analyst. I just hate being a data analyst. Like it's so annoying. But I felt like I need to be a data analyst because I felt that if I was just a marketing major or if I was just a salesperson, then like my skills are so irrelevant. And because like the salaries of like a data analyst are higher than like non-technical roles, I felt that I had to be geared towards that direction. But once again, I think all these things were fueled by a sense of fear that I need to get enough experience, that I need to get enough, that I need to be a certain place, that I need to be somewhere at a certain time to be enough. And I think um, while it didn't pay off in my life negatively, I do think my mindset was really skewed in that perspective. And I hope that I never have to live in a way that I need to take a job or I need to work or I need to do something based solely on fear. In my experience applying to like jobs or internships, I feel that I followed a really similar pattern. And keep in mind, this was like 1 to 2 years ago. Is that this was at a point in time that competition was in a sense lighter. Um, the one thing about internships or one thing about applying to jobs that is the hardest part is being able to mentally sit down and apply to jobs. I would spend way more time like fixing my resume. I would spend way more time fixing my cover letter. I would find so much time like interview prepping before I even had an interview. I would spend so much time optimizing for details that are important, right? It's important to have a good resume. It's important to have a good cover letter. It's important to understand interview questions. But the hardest part about applying to jobs wasn't prepping for that part. That wasn't easy, don't get me wrong. But the hardest part was having the courage to start and accept the fact that people may not want me. And that sounds really sad, and it kind of is, right? When you apply to jobs, like it is a rejection. Like, oh, like what is enough? What like how do I finally get enough experience where people can look at my resume and be like, oh, like this person is qualified? And the most challenging part of my day when applying to jobs was to be able to spend 1 to 2 hours, sit down, and just nonstop apply to jobs again and again and again and again. Um, I think a big bucket of my friends are super qualified, super talented, would be able to do many jobs really well, but it is so stressful to be able to spend some time, sit down for 2 hours, and just apply. Yes, it's only 2 hours of time, but the mental burden of those of applying to jobs may last like weeks upon weeks and upon weeks, and it's such a heavy drag on you mentally knowing that, oh, I don't have an internship, or no, I have no interviews lined up, or oh, I have all these things that I want to get done for my job search or my internship search, and I haven't done it yet. I think it's less of a skill issue and more of a mental burden perspective. It's so taxing knowing that every day that passes, it's harder and harder to find a job. It's harder and harder to find an internship, but at the same time, because it gets harder and harder, um, it feels even more burdening to sit down and apply to jobs. Even though it's so hard to apply to jobs in that perspective, it makes it even more important to start right away and start right now. Um, if anyone's like looking for an internship or if anyone's looking for a job, my first piece of advice would be able to like stop whatever you're doing right now, even watching this video, and start applying to jobs. Apply, 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 apply. Because once you get started, once you spend those 2 hours applying to jobs nonstop, once you spend 2 hours of your day just looking through LinkedIn, having a strategy of what you're going to apply for, whether that's like go on LinkedIn and search up a keyword, or whether that's like searching top 100 software companies and applying to a certain job niche. Once you start, it gets so much and so much easier. And knowing that you spent 2 hours nonstop applying to jobs is such a happy feeling. There was one evening on a Sunday I remember so clearly. The whole evening I spent 4 hours, or it was actually 5 hours, just sitting down applying to jobs nonstop for 5 hours straight. And through that time, I applied to like maybe like 100 jobs, which or 100 internships. And in that time, I didn't apply to any more internships after that. And it was such a great feeling because after that moment, like I didn't need to worry about job searching. I didn't need to like stress about, oh, did I apply enough jobs? Because I already did a decent amount. I already did enough work where I was proud of it. And all it took was like one day. Of course, I spent some time like prepping for interviews, for fixing my resume, fixing my cover letter, but the actual time applying to jobs was only 1 hour. I think there are better ways to apply for jobs now, and there are better ways to get internships now. But the most important thing is when you navigate finding roles, I think the most important thing is to start right now. Start immediately and stop prepping. Yeah, stop prepping and start applying or acting. Now, I wouldn't say the only way to find a job or find an internship is to apply. I think there are many ways around it, and honestly, applying for jobs is probably the least efficient way. But the most important thing is to be able to act immediately and start because the longer you wait and the more you've researched, the more mental tax you have on the pressures, the burdens, and how hard it is to apply to jobs. So don't wait, start right now. When I look at the current job market, I have a mixture of feelings because number one, I feel that if you are qualified, if you are experienced, if you are knowledgeable, it's so hard to be able to find a qualified candidate to be able to take on that role, to be able to thrive, and to be able to thrive well without needing to hold their hand. Now, I highlight the most important part without needing to hold their hand. I think that's a very important part that is quite rare in candidates. But I also see the market as like so challenging. I think for people that haven't had much experience and people that haven't had the opportunities or even privilege to be able to dip their toes in many different areas, many different markets and many different verticals, it's so unfair because there's just so much noise online. I think if you look at the numbers like 2 years ago of how many people apply to jobs online versus like 4 years ago of how many people apply to jobs online, it's incrementally getting higher and higher and higher. And what a candidate needs to be able to be competitive or to even thrive becomes even higher every single year that passes. I'm sure that next year, in this exact time in December, when people start applying for internships and applying for jobs, the qualifications of what it means to find a great candidate will go even higher. I'm sure 2 years down, it will go even higher too. And there's just this constant influx in competition because as people become more aware of every single skill and opportunity that you need to know, more and more people flock towards those areas to be able to be like what I was, like a resume maxer, to be able to optimize these opportunities, optimize these experiences to be the best so that when they apply to jobs when they graduate or as they apply to internships while they're still in college, that they can be able to touch the best opportunities. And now it's really easy to think like, oh, because competition is getting higher and higher and because more and more people are entering the market, can apply online, can be able to improve their resumes and become more and more aware of what it means to thrive, it may feel really hopeless to the average individual. Oh, like it's cooked, it's cooked, it's cooked. And in a sense, like it is cooked, but only people that believe it's cooked aren't cooked, right? If you believe you have what it takes to thrive, you can and you will thrive, right? Because there are many ways above and beyond what it means to get a job. There are many ways that can outmaneuver, many ways that basically what I'm trying to say is that like talent thrives no matter where you are. And I think when you're looking at roles, I think the number one thing you can do beyond just applying to jobs is to be able to build yourself up and build things that can craft you to who you want to be in the future and develop skills that you personally love. And what I'm saying is like, I'm not just saying like create projects just to do projects. I'm not saying create content just to do content. I'm not saying do UGC just to create UGC content. I'm not saying like post newsletters just to post newsletters. I'm not saying writing articles just to write articles. I'm not saying all these things. But what I'm saying is like do those things because you love those things and because you're passionate about these things. Let's say you're super passionate about like if you're super passionate about like credit cards, right? Create research on credit cards, make content about credit cards, create platforms about credit cards, create analysis on credit cards. Dive into credit cards so deeply where in the process of your love for credit cards, you can become an expert and be able to provide value to all the people that love credit cards as well, or all the people that are curious about credit cards. And in that process, create information and become an expert that is so knowledgeable that you are so unique in that process. And to the point where if anyone has questions about credit cards, you are the person to go to. You are the expert and you are the you are the wise one, right? This can apply to beyond credit cards too. This can be like, oh, like I really love like Labubus, okay? I want to understand all the Labubu content. I want to post Labubu content. I want to write new Labubu articles. I want to write, like I want to write like Labubu stories. I want to create a Labubu movie with AI. I don't know, but like become an expert in Labubus. Where if you truly have a passion and you're not a freak about it, just do it, right? Act on it and use your passions as a platform to be able to thrive. The core concept I'm trying to address is like, no matter where you are, talent will thrive, talent will shine, and use your very interests and use your very passions as a core fundamental of what it means to thrive, and use that as a place to showcase the things that you love. Now, I know a lot of you will be like, oh, like I don't really have a passion. I don't really like anything. I don't know what I like. But I want to ask, like, do you really have no passion, or are you afraid of declaring that you are passionate about something? And what I mean by this is that I think everyone, no matter how old they are, can articulate a couple passions that they love, right? This can be like, oh, like volleyball. This can be like doing art. This can be like scrolling on web novels. This can be like making flower bouquets. Like any niche interest that make you unique, any interest that people make fun of you for, anything that you're known for is a key point that you can build upon, that you can thrive. And even if you're made fun of it, like use that as a leverage, use that as a platform to be able to build things upon, to be able to build a reputation for it. Hopefully it's for a good thing, but because people know you for it, like clearly it might mean something. Maybe really good, maybe really bad, but no matter what, act on the things that make you, act on the things that make you fall in love with yourself, and use those very things as reasons for why you want to do, why you want to act the way, why you want to build things that you want to do, and create it as a platform for you to gain experience and for you to build something that lasts beyond just your one-time job or the many jobs that you'll take in the future, but as something that you think you're proud of and that you want to tell stories on in the future. It's ironic. I think what I'm trying to say is just like be yourself and act on it, right? Don't just sit and hope that one day will get better. Act on it and pursue your passions and pursue what makes you you all the way through, so that the very things that make you unique, the very things that you like, the very things that you're interested in, that you become the number one expert in however way you can. Even if it's a little silly, even if it's a little strange or weird, that's okay, because you are the way you are for a reason. And by pursuing that, it's going to be a super fun process. So go for it.